this to me?
Well, look at this. Old man's looking at a hot new game, and it had to be this one for some weird reason. Of all the hot games he could have picked, he decided on a whack-ass free-to-play title from currently the worst Japanese developers out there. Not Pokemon, that fancy new Elden Ring, or Ghostwire, and I can go on with this bit, but no, apparently Yu-Gi-Oh takes priority. But yeah, here we are now. It's been out for what, at least 5 months and counting with a UI overhaul around April? I'm assuming a majority of players now have a free deck made from boosters. I hope. But let's begin with my relation to the series, since all I ever shown on this channel was me opening booster boxes. Ugh. I've been saying that I've played real-life Yu-Gi-Oh for as long as I can remember. I even started on the original series and actually bought the first Yu-Gi starter deck ever released onto the West. Yeah, I started that early and I've owned decades of old cards that have been bent, damaged, and even ripped and taped for salvation. Jesus Christ. I was never able to do open booster packs until GX was airing in the US. But even then, I opened a Part 1 booster, Rise of Destiny. Specifically the special edition that came with this card, Diffusion Wave Motion. And after that, I never opened a single booster nor went to any tournaments or card shops until I started college. Yeah, I technically started actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh with others real late. As a kid, I essentially did the thing where I would make 2 decks out of the cards I owned and play them against myself because I didn't have any friends. I was a sad, lonely boy. Then again, during that loneliness, I was able to try some of the other Yu-Gi-Oh games. Well, 3 of them to be exact. I had Dungeon Dice Monsters as shown on my Let's Play channel a while back. But I also had an earlier official tournament simulator known as World Championship 2004, or in Japan, Duel Monsters Expert 3. Pretty solid games, even though I was never able to progress further in 2004. 2004's sound design and OST though. Fucking beautiful. I even have the promo cards offered in the box for 2004, as damaged as they might be. And there's the one I tossed away in the Turok GBA review. We don't talk about that, and I'd rather play its grandpa Forbidden Memories. Yeah, I said it. Either way, thanks to modern Yu-Gi-Oh giving this man some sweet new stuff, and the fact that I love this character, I decided why not and dip my head a bit further into Yu-Gi-Oh in general. And now I'm a few $100 less to the game. I did buy other decks, don't take this joke too seriously. Not that I'm denying enjoying current Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like it could be a good game depending on what each player feels, but I've already delayed this video with my personal journey. Let's start with analyzing Master Duel. Before we start though, I'd like to say that I have no development knowledge to share about this. What, you were expecting to ask me about developer stuff? How can I? It's a new game developed by a Japanese company. There's no documented information at all, and all I can talk about now is the current product. And keep in mind, this is modern Konami we're talking about. The only company to completely abandon most of its money-making titles and focus on gambling-related products. He says while buying every Dark Magician-related thing under the sun. All I know is that after a troubled marketing campaign trying to show the game to the West, it's out now via a stealth release and didn't get servers working until January 19th? I don't know, man. I think I was asleep until I saw the servers were open. But yeah, as beloved how Takahashi Kazuki's manga is even in this day and age, and given how Konami has been profiting this year, yeah, it's safe to say that most people still miss the old Konami. I mean, even if I'm pointing out what Yu-Gi-Oh is in the long run, I still enjoy it. The game, I mean, not the manga or anime. I'd rather not hear any of the memes right now. Anyways, let's just actually get started. To give you context on Master Duel's functionality, let's have a small crash course in learning the basics. Yes, the game also has a tutorial. 2 now, actually. But either way, the game starts off like this.
Open the game. Ready! Fight!
In versus player matches, whoever decides the first turn is decided by a coin toss. If it's single player, the first turn is randomized. Each player draws 5 cards from a 40 to 60 card deck and begins the match.
Ready. Go.
The first player starts their turn without drawing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, if you're from older Yu-Gi-Oh, sorry, no more first turn draws. You can blame these cards for that. And from there on, a turn consists of a brief standby phase, the main phase where players can start playing cards from their hand, the battle phase where you let monsters fight against each other, a second main phase that allows you to play cards and set up your board depending on some of your actions in the previous 2 phases, and a call to end your turn. Then the next turn carries over and the other player draws.
Ready. Go.
Then the back and forth cycle of draw and play begins anew. Both players start with 8,000 life points. The first to lose all their health loses the match. If you also run out of cards in your deck and can't draw anymore on your next draw phase, this counts as you losing as well. And when you win, you get one of the worst win themes I've ever heard in my life. I think this is almost as equally as bad as Worming as fucking Street Fighter EX3's win theme. But anyways, cards can vary from a plethora of different monster cards, spell cards, and trap cards. Monsters are characters that fight and guard you against the opponent's cards. Magic cards usually have effects that benefit either you or both players depending on their effects, and traps are self-explanatory. Set them down and wait for your opponent's turn to set them off. A counter, if you will. And that's basically the main gist of the game. Yeah, I could have talked about some of the mechanics and types of cards at this point, but I want to keep it simple for beginners. I mean, we could talk about the summon types briefly and simply though, but if anything, Master Duel does give you a very basic and easy tutorial on how to summon out these card types. I suppose I could try to talk about them later. They are kind of important towards things in Master Duel and Yu-Gi-Oh in general. In terms of playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh and Master Duel though, it's pretty functional. Card playing and seeing effects and attacks are neat. The animations used are pretty alright too. Playing the game has been pretty alright normally in both single player and multiplayer. I do have some functionality issues in regards to some things, including effect activation and activation moments. Sometimes the game will keep asking if you want to activate certain cards at inconvenient times, or for instance during your turn while you're trying to do a combo. Or even when you're just playing other cards at the moment, it keeps asking if you want to activate a trap you set 3 turns ago for every action you do. Absolute slog and very distracting at times. It even allows misplays to happen. Hell, I've been a victim to this and wanted to cancel the play after activating, but then the game tells me, "Too bad, son, you play the card, no takebacks, don't put yourself at disadvantage." This can go either towards the game's fault or the player's fault, and I know this is a tournament simulator, but still. I hope that someday there might be a function that allows you a better auto-suggest for activating stuff based on what deck you're using. Then again, I've talked to some people about this and they say it might be a bit too complicated to code up, but hey, it's still manageable. On the subject of matches though, let's talk about single player and multiplayer. Labeled solo and duel respectively. Oh boy. For single player, the campaign is divided into separate gates based around character archetypes, rather teams that Yu-Gi-Oh has to offer in terms of both cards shown in the anime and tournament-based cards. The first 2, like I said, are tied to a tutorial teaching you the basics of playing Yu-Gi-Oh and summoning characters. Well, originally 1, but after the April update we got a second one. The rest, as I said, are all lore-based roadmaps of you fighting against the character archetypes of the gate. And then the last one involves a slight trip down memory lane through the original series, including the last fight with, oh for Christ's sake. Funnily enough, this isn't the first time they've done this mistake. In general, single player works. It's very functional. Progression depends at your pace and what extra matches you want to unlock with rewards you get after certain fights, and finding the AI is mostly a comfortable experience. If you made a good deck, that is. Here's the thing. You can beat a gate with just decks you made in the deck editor menu if you have some knowledge about the game, or you can use a rental deck. Your mileage may vary depending on what you want to play, but I've heard that some people have broken matches with the rental decks where the AI just decides to think for too long. Don't believe me? I'm actually one of those people who accidentally stumbled across this issue just because some of the rental decks aren't up to par compared to how some people would build their versions of those decks. This AI has caught me at gunpoint. Look at this.
No,
please
sir, you can't.
end shit. Have a fucking bowel movement.
You're gonna shit yourself because of this bot?
No, I
based?
want the butt to shit.
You are shitting, admit it.
No, it's not even me shitting.
No, stop denying, you are.
You are pooping. Because the bot is too good for you.
No. What's even worse is that to get 100% in single player, you have to beat every fight with both a rental deck and one of your own decks. Yeah, good luck with that. I just gave up after that agonizing wait time. Now, I'd like to talk about deck customization since I brought it up at this point, but before that, let's talk about multiplayer for a second. See the menu options here? Yeah, only 3. Ranked match, lobby, room, and events. Ranked is simple. You play matches, and you need to surpass a set amount of wins to rank up. The ranks include Rookie, which everyone gets out of eventually, so this is fucking pointless. Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, originally the highest rank in the game, and Diamond, a new rank added around the April update. There's also possible chances to get demoted. I was close to getting a demotion, but never got the footage due to some sheer luck. You want to know something really fucked up? After I wrote this, I got a demotion. So yeah, this is what a demotion looks like. If you're wondering how I got demoted though, you can blame some background noise for that. Fucking sea levels. Room is self-explanatory. Make a lobby and choose who to fight at each setup. And then there's the event matches. What was available and will be made available in terms of this was leaked at some point, but I'm not going to spoil the future ones. The footage you see here is only the ones that happened or are currently happening at the time of this video. Currently, they involve some sort of limitation as to what cards are available and whatnot, such as disallowing higher rarities or certain summon types. Here's a fun fact for this video. I was going to do an extended look into my performance at each event, but I think it might be unnecessary since we still have a lot of stuff to cover in this video. Point of the matter is, they work and they provide some neat rewards for going through them, like additional gems and vouchers to open booster packs with. Oh, also in terms of online matches, note that you're on a time limit of 480 seconds, usually. Most people haven't timed out in matches from what I saw. I could point out to one infamous clip in particular.
Which one's red?
Also, I should talk a little bit about some of these recordings you're seeing right now. The ones where online matches have been recorded as they were played at the moment. There's also a replay function which most people have used to record and upload onto YouTube for obvious reasons. Real-time footage has instances of people thinking, while the replay system just remembers what moves you've done. Replays also are technically temporary until you turn the game off, unless you save a replay as one of your favorites, but you can carry only up to 15. Online is pretty much alright. In terms of games, I've had some rocky connections at times, mostly being connected with players in the Asia region and whatnot, but it's still serviceable. Works nice too, depending on where you are at the moment. Also, I'm not sure what netcode this might be, so don't ask me on that. However, I can say in terms of online, I'd rather would like to have a casual match option that isn't a lobby. Ranked seems a bit too tryhard to fight against, even for me. I say after getting Platinum 5 in Season 1. Alright, give me that rank up. Oh, I'm at Platinum!
Yeah.
Wait, I thought it was Gold 3.
No, here's the thing. It doesn't give a shit as long as you have a good streak going. It literally does not give a shit. Cause I remember if I went from like Bronze 3 to like Gold 1, I was like, what are you talking about?
And I know this because of all the real life matches I've had with tournament players. Sometimes matches can go south real quick. Personally, I'd like to see what wacky combos other players can create with certain cards. Hell, I even try to use cards based around what they can do for my deck instead of being tunnel vision to a specific combo. I try to do combos all the time in any games with them. I mean, I may as well be the patron saint of bootleg combos. But the other reason for wanting a casual quick match option, and let's be honest, no burden from ranked, is about the game's currency system. The currency is gems. You get them either by going through single player matches as rewards, or completing missions, like a gacha game. Alright, that sounds neat, so why am I complaining, you ask? Because the majority of the missions you need to clear for money is tied solely to ranked. And events, which also have their own separate category of missions when they're live, but these missions never consider your performance in a lobby. And even then, I usually turn the lobby on if I'm playing with friends mostly, not random players, but then again, your mileage may vary on this situation. Either way, I still feel that locking gems towards players is mostly kind of foul, because if you don't want to break out your credit card, you really need them for booster packs. Hey, you know all the stuff I just said right now? Well, they're gonna fix it soon. I've been working on this video too long, fuck this. And before you ask me about the tickets, they might as well be mostly useless, and you'll see why right now. So about deck building.
I'm not getting over the fucking deck saying being third striker you.
Yeah, because it is search.
How?
It's like he has to fight. Like, too honestly.
You're saying Dark Magicians are an honest deck?
Yeah, because I can brick.
Like I said, booster packs through gems. You could pay 1 for 100 or 10 for 1,000. Each booster has 8 cards in it, and each card can vary from a normal rarity to an ultra rare. Each card also has the potential to have a holographic rarity in a digital game. Alright. Once you get any card in the super rare or ultra rare category, you then unlock an alternative booster pack called the secret pack, depending on what character archetype the card belongs to. For these, 4 will be a predetermined set of cards that aren't related to the archetype but seem to benefit the deck, and the other 4 will be cards focused around the archetype. For boosters in general, if you decide to pull 10 of the same booster at once, and by some chance you don't get an ultra rare from any of those boosters, the next 10 of said booster packs you buy will at least give you 1 guaranteed ultra rare. From there, we can build decks and craft cards. Oh yes, actual card crafting based around the point system. All cards you want to craft cost around 30 points of a corresponding rarity. Dismantling cards depends on the foil type and the rarity. If it's a card with no holographic foil, dismantling gives you 10 points. If it's a card labeled glossy finish, it gives you 15, and if it's a royal finish, it gives you 30. Deck building is kind of alright. Seems a bit clunky at first, given how you can add cards to and from your deck with the right mouse? Or dragging a card with the left mouse, or even using a controller? Oh yeah, Master Duel has controller support since it was also released for consoles. I'll talk about version performances in a bit, but for complaints, I really wish we could use the D-pad for moving the cursor around instead of the D-stick. Besides that though, seems to be fine. Hell, you can even decorate your deck with a different deck case, playfield, or even a partner.
Look, you have a new friend!
In terms of booster packs though, your mileage may vary once again. I mean, it is opening booster packs, same as in real life, so you're never sure if you're lucky enough to get the cards you need or to craft. For example, my main Dark Magician deck, I've tried replicating it in other decks on 3 separate accounts. My main account had me pulling and crafting cards with ease within the first few days of playing. The other 2 weren't so lucky. Even then, pulling other characters seems to be a pretty unlucky situation for me in general. Oh god damn it. But then there's these boosters, the ticket-based ones. These make me cry. Yes, they're free cards essentially, but my main problem is that you can't use them for crafting if you pull cards from these. At all. Can't dismantle them for points, you can only make more. That's absurd. I know it's because these aren't in the same rotation as the other cards, but most of these become absolute garbage to some players to the point where we'd rather trade them for other cards as well. You know something I forgot while writing for this video as well? Trading. I mean, this is a trading card game after all. Then again, this might be due to real life cards. Funnily enough, even the game before Master Duel had no trading as well, but getting cards there was even worse. I understand the lack of trading for this game though, mostly because modern online card games have just done away with trading instead of crafting like Hearthstone, since it'd be too easy to get cards you want and get rid of the unwanted stuff. And even then, if trading was in this game, it'd be another separate community market similar to real life. Hell, it might get as bad as TF2's. Still though, I really miss the feel of peer-to-peer trading in real time as a whole. One more thing as well in regards to rarities. I know it's based on how strong they are in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole and what they can offer to decks, but some of them are kind of baffling in comparison to real life or just make no sense at times. Like, for instance, the majority of hand traps being an ultra rare is understandable, but say for instance, Soul Eating Oviraptor. Yeah, that thing's essential to dinosaur decks and it even got limited in Master Duel, but in real life that thing's as common as dirt. Or hell, look at some of the cards in my extra deck. Winter Bell is a super rare in this game, but it's cheap as dirt in real life. And then there's the impractical hard to use cards like Berserker Soul that are considered ultras, but are chump change in real life. The list goes on and on. I know it's because cards are just much easier to get in Master Duel, but you can't deny that this is just jarring to see if you've played or researched Yu-Gi-Oh! In any capacity. But yeah, everything seems to work as intended for an official Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament Simulator-esque game. Hell, even on different platforms the game seems to be mostly fine. Both PS4 and PS5 I've heard function well as Xbox. Switch is a little rough and at times lag for me in terms of inputs. I'm pretty sure they fixed this given that this footage is from the first month of the game, because I haven't been able to try that version out again after essentially getting winded out of playing ranked. And then there's the mobile port, which once again depends on the user. I've only had 2 tests in terms of people playing the mobile version. I could have, but my phone has some other issues at the moment. For one guy, he was playing on a Samsung Galaxy S2 and it was pretty similar or even worse to how the Switch version ran. Ryan, on the other hand, was playing the game on a OnePlus the last time we played, and it ran smoothly for him. So yeah, game seems pretty functional as a whole. Still some rough patches even with the updates to UI, rankings, and ban lists. But as the obvious beta as it was in its early stages, and the current builds as it is in today, it seems pretty alright. In terms of official Konami-related Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, it's mostly faster than the other games, and it's pretty fun with friends in general. Also, yeah, unofficial game clients such as Yugioh Omega exist, and those things are much faster than this game. But still, Master Duel is mostly alright. So why is there half of this video still remaining? Well...
It's a fucking 180, dude. Like, he's way more knowledgeable of the game and the current meta than I ever will be.
Oh, heck yeah. I liked Dark Magician growing up. I like Spellcasters. This guy looks like a boss.
Not exactly like the student has become the master, but it's more like I put more money into this game than you have.
So I found some of my old Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Think you can help me get back in the game? Are you sure you want to go down that road?
I went back into it and I stuck with what I knew.
What was that? That was a combo.
But that was exactly it. I was just unfamiliar with the environment that Yu-Gi-Oh was in now.
Wonder what he does.
What about the damage step? What is an inherent summon?
They had all sorts of different card effects and
Yu-Gi-Oh card text is out of control.
And then fucking cards, magic traps, they have like paragraph long the descriptions, and then old cards will start getting errated so that they do things that you didn't know that they did do in the first place because their original formatting is kind of busted. Like, Ring of Destruction doesn't do what it does anymore because it's kind of broken, dude. So instead of just making a new card that is just an updated Ring of Destruction, they just errated the old card and hope to God that you know that for a tournament scene. Otherwise, judge!
1/18 of an inch. Most likely 4-point font. Like, you see that D? That's a little D.
What do you mean spell speed 4? What's a hand trap? That's not in the rulebook.
And that's just the beginning.
As much as Takahashi Kazuki's manga surfacing as a game to be enjoyed by all as a real-life card game, some, if not most people, aren't privy to the changes that modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to offer. I understand. Hell, even I didn't like some of the things I saw going further into the game and wanted a more back and forth of both players playing to the best of their abilities instead of one-sided matches. Mostly because I was too sheltered into part 1 as well. I've heard most of the complaints that say, but there's also genuine concerns that some players, both old and new, do talk about. Now, in terms of this discussion, I've tried to talk with a bunch of people about this situation. Some advise that if modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is too complex, trying other formats such as Duel Links, Speed Duels, or the latest Rush to... Oh wait. Not yet? Understandable. Still though, trying easier formats may be a better option to play Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. And I understand. But there's still some people that I've talked with who are stuck with playing Modern, even before and after playing Master Duel, building decks and trying to make combos to this day. If you're one of the newer or older players who wants to stick around trying any form of Modern Master Yu-Gi-Oh!, Let me help you with some general tips about certain complaints. I mean, I did get beaten over the head for 3 years trying to main Dark Magician saying some similar stuff, so I might as well.
Yu-Gi-Oh card text is out of control.
Sadly, this is more an issue of the design of the text. I know, this is kind of a dead horse that's been beaten too much to the point where no one will still find a solution to even fix this. Then again, that may be due to the fact that the language format, known as problem-solving card text, may as well be a different form of English. Hell, it might as well be a programming language in the guise of English. All I can say is, keep your cool when it comes to cards like this. If you're the one using the card, try to read through the effect at your own pace or even practice the scenario of you using the effect on a test field. As for the way cards are written, just try to translate them into simpler English phrases or easier to digest versions of the effects. No, not Ebonics, that may actually make things a lot worse. Just be careful what comes your way, and if you get swept by a nuke, don't take it too hard.
And like since I left, there have been different types of monsters introduced. There are pendulums, then you got synchros, then you had XZs. I think they're called XZs. It's XYZ. I was like, oh, like the dragon cannon, the purple fusion monsters. Like, no, it's a different XZs. Link monsters. I think those are the newest kind. I think, and then fucking cards, magic traps.
Hey, buddy, relax.
This is the reason why I've held off talking about other summoning techniques while going over the basic rules. Funnily enough, people say this to me and others whenever seeing these cards, and I think that's a bit misguided. Whenever this is said, or if I hear this, I think new and old players are talking about their more intermediate and advanced functions in standard combos. Like for example, the special effects from the Numeron decks, the Utopia or Hope decks, Contact Fusion and its similar effects, Axial Synchro and its advanced forms, co-linking, the list goes on with the multitudes of decks and playstyles. But in their basic appearance, they're really simple to summon. I mean, that's why there's a tutorial for each of them in basic play. Fusion is combining 2 or more monsters with the polymerization card or any similar effect. Ritual, yeah, I know this isn't an extra deck, but they're considered special cards, so I might as well. These are similar to Fusion, you need a separate spell to summon them, but they're based on tributing monsters with their total level either equaling or going over the summon conditions level. Synchros are similar to Rituals, but need at least 1 tuner monster instead of a Ritual spell, and unlike Rituals, need to match the level of their summoning conditions. XYs just need multiple same level monsters to stack on top of each other. Usually 2 is the minimum. And Links use a set number of cards for each arrow they have on their card, and Links themselves can substitute their arrows for other monsters' arrows. Even as each new summon type was introduced, as you could see, they were considered easier versions of older summoning types and conditions. I even went as far as to create a difficulty chart for their basic summoning style, with XC being the easiest and Synchro being the hardest. Similar to how I suggest training with your main deck cards, extra deck cards can be as important. Don't let advanced techniques scare you, overcome them by learning or beating them. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But basically, Pendulums is like, you have the scale cards, right? So how?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna bother explaining how it used to be. So how it is now is that if you look at like playmats now, there's like 2 little symbols in the back ends of your like spell zone spaces, right?
Right.
So basically, if you have a pendulum monster, they can act as a monster and a spell card. So how to activate them as a spell card and play them from your hand is basically you pay attention to the numbers that are associated with that card. Say you have like a 3 and you have a 5, right? Or like whatever number. So basically, whichever numbers you play on the ends of the scale, you can only summon in between those numbers. So if you have a 3 and a 5, you can only special summon 4-star monsters.
Right.
But if you have like a 1 scale and like a 6 scale, you can summon 2, 3, 4s, and 5s.
Right.
And you can special summon to fill your board that way. And then since they're in the spell card zone, they can be destroyed like a spell card. But also the problem is with Pendulum Summon is that because all of that is treated as one single summon, like special summon when you Pendulum, if you on single one, your monster is like above 1500 or whatever, and you get hit by a bottomless, all of them are banned.
Yeah.
If they're destroyed normally, they go to extra deck to the top, and then as long as the scales are still present, you can special summon them back, right?
The only problem with Pendulums is essentially it's just like when it goes into the extra deck, then the whole card type just starts getting complicated. Do you assume, or
Not really, no, because like because all it is, like, if they're in the extra deck, is like they're face up on the extra deck, right?
Yeah.
If you destroy a scale, they can't special summon until they get another scale that they can special summon one of those monsters out.
Right.
It's not that hard. All you have to do is think about it. It's just like you just need extra spell lockout. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Fucking brain dead. I ran it when it was prime meta. It used to not be in the spell and trap zone. They used to have their own specific zone.
Right.
And they used to be a lot better. Pendulums got nerfed.
Yeah.
Pendulums, it's convoluted at first, but when you finally start getting it, it's like the easiest shit ever. All you need to make sure is if you get 3 and 5, you can only special summon 4, so you can only special summon in between the thing, like an actual pendulum, right?
Right.
The thing will never hit the actual ends except for the start and finish, so it's always going to be in between. Yeah, but if you had to rank it somewhere, it's like as like barrier of entry. Yeah, you can put it like you can put it in the middle. Yeah, because like I say, it's daunting to get into, but once you get it, it's easy as shit, and it's like hella accessible.
I get it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Back then, even digitally, was fairly basic. I mean, look at an old card in Japanese. The text box was that small, for Christ's sake. But times change. Characters get new combos. Combos get extensions. New forms of characters release and get power crept, and so on and so on. But not all decks are intimidating. There are easy to learn decks that are actually pretty good and can get you on your feet against other solitaire players. It's all about learning their basics, and then later, there are neat tricks that you can use against the opponent. Here, I'll show you these candidates up on the screen so you can get a feel as to what you could potentially start with. Just keep in mind that it's still just a game and you don't need to stress out too much whether you win or lose. Take the loss if you need to, but stay calm and learn from it. Like fighting games, there's a lot of guides, resources, and tools to help you understand what to do with your deck and what to watch out for with your opponent's decks. Always ask what you can do and watch your replays along with others to find a way out. You could also check your opponent's deck as well. Take the time to read up on their cards via this method. Take it easy, but know that since they hit you, you gotta hit them back harder by thinking a few steps ahead. As a side solution though, there are people in Master Duel that offer alternatives to Modern. Remember that NR event I showed a while ago? Apparently people still play that format with wacky stuff, so if the super and ultra rare cards aren't really your thing, check them out as well. Their Discord invite will be in the description as well as the pinned comment.
Counter!
Okay, this is a weird spot. Yeah, the modern hand traps are kinda scummy at times. I mean, even I'm not privy about them. Even in my decks, I force myself to use either just one copy or maybe at most 2. Yeah, I consider playing a playset of hand traps to be BM, what of it? You try running a deck full of hand traps, that could go south real quick depending on your luck. Some consider them a necessary evil or the norm for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point. Which is kind of funny, since hand traps have always been in the game this entire time. Yeah, believe it or not, Kuribo was the first hand trap. It's just that his descendants got even more and more broken as time passed. So what to do as of now? Well, at this point, it depends on your situation. Usually, you'd have to tough it out and buy playsets of hand traps and countermeasures just to keep yourself in the game, which has its own problems, mind you, but we'll get back to that in a bit. Since a lot of players tend to follow meta tournament play as well as follow the current ban list. If, however, by some miracle, you have friends and do admit that hand traps are a necessary evil but don't want to abuse them, I would suggest possibly setting up house rules or what-if matches that involve only having one copy of each hand trap, or even going as far as to ban who you don't want to see. I know, that last part is really rare, but if you can make it happen, more power to you. I think, out of all the complaints, I was going to hand-wave this as a dumb one. Then I saw this as legit as I was talking with other players that tried Modern or have stayed in Modern. Here's the thing, I was also in the similar mindset for wishing a balance similar to old Yu-Gi-Oh! Sort of. I was thinking that the only time I would have a legit good match was if me and my opponent did a clean, close back and forth of play similar to a fighting game test versus test video. But I would always go up against one-sided matches constantly where I couldn't play, couldn't counter, or couldn't try stuff I learned because I was essentially trying to play honestly. Or it could have been me thinking I was playing an honest character. But as time passed, and the more blows to the head I took, I learned the anti-tech. Miraculously. This proves that an old player, you know, the massive quotation marks, can keep up with the current format in general. Yes, there's also a matter of how willing a person can be and how their pacing into the game is, but it can be done. It's possible to dip your toes in and figure out if you truly like something or not. As someone told me as I was asking around, you could definitely like a format, but if you only liked just that one format and nothing else about the game, did you ever really like the game as a whole? Never be afraid. I understand too. I get scared of getting schmixed at times, but that should never be a detriment to personal gain, no matter who you are. Oh hey look, a usual fighting game situation. No, I'm not going to go Yu-Gi-Oh makes everyone a rushdown character. This is more, you fought a player and you have no idea what they did. Never fret. Refer back to what I talked about in the solitaire complaint. You have resources and guides. Never let anything make you say I can't do it.
Yeah, now.
For good reason.
Oh, wait, you have Destroy Phoenix guy.
So you have the one card that's going to start ruining your day by being the start of a combo, or that's currently ruining your day by not letting you do anything. Like I've said with the previous tips, don't panic. Be patient. Know when you have to counter, what you have to counter with, and execute accordingly. If there's a constant effect causing a sense of dread, remember that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has hosted some really, really good board wiping nukes and destruction effects. You could also remove cards that are bothering you depending on the effect that you chose as well. There's always a possible out. So at this point, there's some possible things you can do. Number one, depending on your deck, you may have another counter like a hand trap that can get your opponent to fully stop playing his turn. Number two, pray that your next draw can help you overcome the upcoming board. Or number three, realize that you're being upset about a card game because you're playing against a well-built tournament deck and should stop stressing about being accidentally paired with a metaphorical tidal wave. Remember these sacred words and take it easy.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Oh boy, yes, these absolutely fucked up cards. Listen, I hate them too. But remember that clip I played in the last tip?
It's only a game.
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, you were paired up against the meta deck. I've been saying as well that Yu-Gi-Oh! Can become a very try-hard game depending on who you play against and how you play or want to accomplish. There are still ways to play the game without having to accidentally challenge higher level players. Also, remember that with friends, you can always set up your own vows with each other. Never take anything too seriously.
Are you saying I have to sell my soul to play this game?
Note that I didn't say pay to win. There's decks that are surprisingly joked about as pay to lose.
All right, well, that's a wrap.
GG, shake his hand.
Wait, what? What?
His deck sucks dick right now.
Wait, what happened? What happened?
I didn't get shit on my
He
hand.
bricked.
I should also point out that this is more of a TCG problem as well. Yes, most real-life decks in the West can become stupidly expensive due to either collector's prices, the power of the deck and the cards, and a regular case of supply and demand. That supply and demand part isn't even a joke as well. Hell, a lot of people in the US still consider Yu-Gi-Oh! To be a fad. Meanwhile in Japan, it's actually a lifestyle with easy to access copies of cards that go for way cheaper than in Western markets. I mean, Japan has rarities higher than the ones we have in the West that are much cheaper compared to those cards. What I'm saying is, some cards aren't printed or reprinted more for TCG compared to OCG. Hence the pricing. If you still want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In the West at this point, after all the other tips I talked about, you still have a couple of cheap options. You can play Master Duel since, surprisingly, the game isn't pay to win, and you can get cards easily as pulling Japanese cards. You can play unofficial simulators such as Yugioh Omega, This is similar to emulating a ROM of a game, which, like I've mentioned previously in my Fate Fever review, I'm technically okay with, just not piracy. You can buy the cheaper Japanese cards and memorize their effects in English. Slight disclaimer, do this if you're only playing with friends. Tournaments in the West don't allow you to use Japanese cards at all, even if those cards do have Western counterparts. Or you can buy your time with research while playing other games. You still have access to research no matter what you pick. Even YouTube can help you learn how to play. Listen, every community is toxic. If you find yourself in a situation as such, please try to get away from the problem and try finding others that you can have a healthy relationship with. It'll help tremendously with understanding a lot of things, even this game. If you're one of the few that still want to try modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Through Master Duel or the real cards, then congratulations. I hope that your time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Will still be fun regardless of the hardships you encounter or the amazing plays you can bring to the table. My only regret right now is that they're releasing a new game later down this fall.
Fucking terrible ass game. Yeah, if the next turn comes and I still don't have shit, that's a dub. I'm out again.
Bro, just rub incantations easy.
I do! I have no ritual spells! Go ahead, go ahead. I feel like you're probably gonna go into battle phase, weren't you? Hit me! Hit me! You better let me get this. You barely have this.
I'm going down!
It fucking sucks. Did you just cancel my shit? Oh my! Fucked up! You could've... Bruh. Deactivate my shit!
No, I feel like an ass!
Deactivate my shit! That's the point of this game! This game is for shitheads! You can't do anything in life!
I'll do it! God,
now
there goes...
Bruh, how out of 32 cards left in my deck, I haven't gotten a single one that I... Only trophies? You couldn't have waited? Let's be Konami and not pay Kojima, but let's go ahead and fuck all our fans over and then pay money IRL for cards and money in-game for cards. Amazing. The whole lot. There ain't no heart of the cards in this bullshit.
I'm finished. It's Geek!
You attacked the wrong monster!
Trying to ask you!
You hit the wrong monster! And a stuff. Oh my...
Please stop.
God, I can't even do anything! My time is now! Take this, whore!
You just
Take this, whore! You fool! Thank you, LeVar Burton.
Damn, I miss LeVar Burton now.
The Reading Rainbow's finally paying off.
I'm saving that one to the Reading Rainbow.
Please stop.
The Reading Rainbow's fan.